When the towers fell on September 11, 2001, the world changed forever. Within weeks, American soldiers were boarding planes to a distant, rugged land, a place many of them couldn't even find on a map before that day. Afghanistan, a country of mountains and dust, of tribes and traditions, of endless wars that swallowed empires whole. They were told their mission was clear: destroy Al-Qaeda, eliminate the Taliban, and ensure that no terrorist group would ever again strike American soil. But for the men and women in uniform, that mission would stretch far beyond the battlefield. It would become a test of faith, endurance, and humanity itself. The first boots landed on Afghan soil under a cold October sky. The night was silent except for the rotors of Black Hawk helicopters and the crunch of gravel beneath combat boots. Young soldiers, and barely 20, carried rifles heavier than their understanding of what lay ahead. They were idealists, patriots, sons, daughters. Many believed they were stepping into a righteous war. The smell of dust mixed with gun oil and diesel became the scent of their new reality. Days turned into weeks, and the illusion of quick victory faded. The enemy wasn't an army in uniform. It was shadows in the mountains, whispers in the villages, faces that disappeared before the trigger was pulled. In Afghanistan, the battlefield was everywhere and nowhere. Soldiers soon learned that no amount of technology could match the knowledge of the locals who knew every path, every ridge, every stone. The enemy waited patiently, striking not with numbers but with time. Convoys rolled through narrow roads where every rock could hide an IED. The hum of engines was often followed by an explosion that ripped through steel and silence. Soldiers watched friends disappear in an instant, replaced by smoke and ringing ears. The survivors carried on, covered in dust and disbelief. There were no clear front lines, no safe zones, only long patrols under burning sun and endless uncertainty. Yet in that chaos, something unbreakable was forged. Brotherhood. They found family in one another. The man next to you was more than a comrade. He was the reason you made it home. In the lonely nights of remote outposts, they shared stories, cigarettes, and laughter that defied death. They celebrated small victories: a quiet night, a successful patrol, a letter from home. They built tiny pieces of normal life in the middle of nowhere: a coffee mug on a crate, a photo taped to the wall, a song played softly before sleep. It was those fragile pieces of humanity that reminded them who they were fighting for. Afghanistan, with its haunting beauty, became both enemy and home. The soldiers respected the Afghan people, their resilience, their traditions, their endurance under the same sky of war. But they also saw betrayal and pain. Civilians one day, insurgents the next. Children who waved during the day, but whose villages turned hostile after sunset. The soldiers were told to win hearts and minds, but hearts were hard to reach when every encounter carried risk. As the years passed, the mission changed. From hunting Al-Qaeda to stabilizing provinces, from training Afghan forces to building schools and roads, the war evolved into something far more complex than victory or defeat. Each administration in Washington redefined success, but for the men on the ground, success meant survival. The goalpost moved, but the price stayed the same: blood, loss, and time. Generations of soldiers rotated in and out. Some returned home broken in body, others in mind. Some never returned at all. A new wave of recruits arrived to replace the fallen, reading names on memorial walls they didn't know. The war became routine, background noise to a world that had moved on. For those fighting it, though, it was everything. Every sunrise in Afghanistan was a gamble with fate. Amid the pain, there were moments of quiet humanity. A medic saving a wounded child, a soldier giving his rations to a hungry family, a platoon sharing tea with villagers while keeping a watchful eye on the horizon. These moments of fragile peace were the only glimpses of the mission they once believed in. They reminded the soldiers that even in war, compassion could still exist. Then came 2021. The end, though few believed it was truly an end. The Taliban advanced faster than anyone expected. City after city fell. Panic spread. Soldiers who had spent years fighting, training, and hoping watched the work of 2 decades unravel in days. Kabul fell. Helicopters hovered over the embassy. Civilians clung to aircraft trying to escape. It was chaos, a haunting echo of Vietnam decades earlier. For the soldiers who once believed they were building something lasting, the images were unbearable. Many felt betrayed, others hollow. They had given everything, Years of their youth, brothers in arms, their peace of mind, and watched it all vanish. Some wept quietly as they watched the news. Others said nothing. The silence was louder than words. Those who came home carried invisible scars. PTSD, survivor's guilt, the faces of friends they couldn't save. For them, the war didn't end when they left Afghanistan. It followed them home in dreams, in sounds, in moments that reminded them of what they'd left behind. They had been soldiers in a foreign land, but when they returned, they were strangers in their own. And yet, despite it all, they didn't see their service as wasted. Because in every outpost, in every firefight, in every act of sacrifice, they found purpose. They found brotherhood. They discovered what it truly meant to serve. Not politics, not strategy, but the man or woman beside them. Afghanistan may have been a war America couldn't win, but for the soldiers, victory was found in surviving it together. Their story is not about defeat or victory. It's about endurance, about what it means to give everything when the world has stopped watching, about carrying a flag that sometimes feels heavier than the weapon in your hands. It's about love, for country, for comrades, for the idea that some things are worth fighting for, even when the outcome is uncertain. In the end, Afghanistan remains a graveyard of empires, a land that consumes ambition and returns silence. The soldiers who fought there will forever carry its dust on their souls. They may have left Afghanistan, but Afghanistan will never leave them. It lives in their memories, in their nightmares, in the stories they tell their children. And when they close their eyes, they can still hear it. The distant hum of the helicopter, the radio crackling through static, the whispered words between brothers before the dawn of another mission. This is their story, not of heroes or villains, but of human beings caught between duty and destiny. The story of U.S. soldiers in Afghanistan, 2 decades of courage, confusion, and the unbreakable bond of those who fought a war that time will never forget.